Hi and welcome to the Kite Channel Lounge, the cybersecurity podcast dodging the vendor sales pitches and delivering genuine insights, news and predictions. Hopefully we're going to have some fun on the way as well. I'm your host, Stuart Nairne-Clark. Today we're joined by the team at SenseOn, Amy Nairne-Clark, Regional Sales Director, and Mark Parr, Channel Manager. Good to have you guys in.
And you?
Hello.
This is nice, a little bit different, something I haven't done before, so yeah, very exciting.
Is this your first podcast?
Yeah. First one I've been on, apart from listening to, yeah.
How about yourself?
Yeah, likewise. Don't do these very often, ever.
And what do you listen to? Any podcasts that you've got on your playlist?
Oh, lots. Rugby Union Weekly and Ellis and John are probably my two favourites.
Nice.
Yeah.
Ellis and John, who's that?
Great. Two comedians, so it's like a 5 Live thing.
Okay.
Very good.
Yeah.
How about you, Amy?
Am I allowed to say it? I listen to Married Annoyed with Chris Ramsey and his wife.
Oh, yeah.
And then I also listen to a lot of the rugby ones. So I was really pleased to see when we came in that the rugby ones all recorded in here.
Oh, that's class. I'm a proper
They're not here
fanboy.
today, are they?
No, I don't think you are here today.
No.
I've mentioned it before.
I wouldn't have been in here if Ben Youngs was next door.
Right then, so before we get into the content, and we're just going to have a good conversation and good open chat. Really interested to find out from our guests who I've known and we've known each other a long time within the industry. But what was your journey into the channel? What was your journey into cybersecurity? Start with you, I guess, Amy.
Yeah, so I guess I've been in the industry now for 18 years. I think it's coming up, maybe even 19. I came into it by accident, really. So I'd just left the forces. I was living down south, couldn't afford to buy anywhere to live down south, so I needed to get back up to the Midlands. And I applied for any and every job going. And one happened to be at Arc Technology, who later went on to become Exclusive Networks, so distribution. I remember my first days in role were trying to sell Evercom against Citrix, so definitely David and the Goliath sort of story. And just evolved from there, really. So I spent about 10 years in distribution before moving on to vendor world.
Lovely.
A complete accident, like most people. I ended up doing recruitment for graduates into IT sales, and it was a horrible job, tough job. And I was placing quite ungrateful graduates into roles that were paying better than I was getting paid. And I was a graduate, so I thought I'd give that a go. I knew some people who were in the industry, so I ended up at Vidition fairly early on, and then ended up in Exclusive Networks like you two did. And started out in account management, but then kind of gravitated towards the vendor side, so the vendor management piece. So ran a couple of teams and just enjoyed that part of it. Enjoyed working with the channel, enjoyed kind of being focused on a product set, enjoyed being focused on a technology and kind of the problems that solved. But the go-to-market plans and building the plans and the marketing plans around that. And yeah, I wouldn't change it now. It's if someone gave me a magic wand, there's lots of, if I could do anything, there's lots of things I'd like to do, but realistically, I'm very happy with the decisions I made. And I've been very lucky.
Fantastic. No, it's great to hear. And yeah, I've known you both, as I mentioned already, and worked with you both in different roles. But before we kind of go into SenseOn, the market, etc., just over lunch we were discussing the reason why you guys joined SenseOn, and it'd be great to hear from you both. Really, now working together, which is great to see. But yeah, what is it about SenseOn that really attracted you there, outside of the technology?
Should we do it in chronological order? Do you want to go first?
Yeah, I can do. So I joined SenseOn last September. I'd been in the vendor side of the industry at that point for about 10 years, having been at Gemalto and Proofpoint. Both of them are fantastic technologies, by the way, Gemalto and Proofpoint. But I think what I was getting a little bit frustrated was hearing end users say, you're trying to sell me something that I don't necessarily need. And SenseOn felt like it had a solution that customers really needed to address problems that they were really facing. Now, that does sound like, flying the flag of SenseOn. But I guess from a personal reason, I was also seeing I was also seeing customers start to, security and trust go hand in hand, right? They're intrinsically linked. And I was starting to see that end users and prospects and customers were starting to mistrust vendors outside of the UK. And that's not saying that, US, Israeli vendors are not fantastic, but I was definitely feeling the pull for having local companies protecting their data and protecting them. And so I wanted to do that. I wanted to find a British vendor that I could work with. And so that was the main pull. And then I don't know if anybody's met Dave Atkinson that's listening to this. They can find him. He's on YouTube. He's everywhere you want to look. But when you get speaking to Dave, I don't think you've got much choice in the matter. So I was definitely pulled into the SenseOn brand and the team and the culture of the business. And that's I guess why I'm here and why I really enjoy working here.
That's brilliant to hear.
Very similar. I was 16 years in distribution, passionate about distribution, but passionate about that vendor side and that kind of new technology. I spoke to you, I spoke to Amy, and then I spoke to Dave, and I was bought in. I followed kind of Amy's career and where she's been, and have looked on fairly enviously being in the vendor side. But I knew immediately SenseOn was the one I wanted to go for, because I bought into Dave. The technology is great, but I'm not a techie. So at those early stages, I'm kind of flying a bit blind, but I buy into the people. Amy said about flying the SenseOn brand. That's what I have to believe in it, because I want to be doing it and need to be doing that at all times. And I bought in super quick. And it wasn't just Dave, it was obviously Amy, but it was then I met our AE team, I met our product team, our director of technology, Brad, on and on and on. And everyone has the same belief in this company that we can do something special.
And the majority of them based in the UK as well, right?
Yeah. All in the UK apart from some of our SOC team.
Fantastic to hear. It's so important, the people and the relationship side of it as well, and that background outside of technology. So if we look at the market as it is today, and we keep hearing that traditional security approaches are failing, and I think we're almost at a breaking point, really, whereby there has to be a fresh approach. And I think, Amy, you mentioned in terms of one of the reasons that you joined, that actually there was demand or a reason from the end user community that was kind of pulling towards you. Do you want to maybe just touch on your thoughts on that? I think both in terms of the market and also how we feel that SenseOn are positioned in that as well.
Yeah. So what I believe makes SenseOn different is that we're a startup. We're 8 years old. We've come from a place of understanding a customer's problem and finding a solution for that. What we haven't done is created a technology and then try to find a place where it fits. So if you look at the problems that our customers have at the moment, it's this exponential amount of data that they've got to protect. It's a lack of security individuals within the industry. It's these fragmented security tools. So they're running multiple point products that over time have been suggested to them as having the answer. And I think we've all learned that there is no silver bullet. But what SenseOn does is it actually allows customers or prospects as well, to pull all of those siloed points of information into a single solution that gives them the visibility and observability that they need to then be able to take action. And I think that's what makes us really different, is that there's no other tool that I believe on the market or solution on the market that gives the customer the same visibility without, major cost implications from both the tool, but also for the processes and the people that need around it. I think that's sort of where SenseOn comes from and the problems that we do address for customers.
You've just mentioned the kind of cost implications, right? And you guys talk about the SIEM data tax, so to speak. I think it'd be a really good point to kind of expand on for the listeners.
Yeah, and that's, out of all the conversations we're having daily, one thing that comes up time and time again is costs are spiraling. It's that end users feel the need, they have to go out and have to buy more products. There's more threats and there's something that will solve it. So you've got those, not only those networks and point solutions fragmented, they're expensive. If data volumes are growing, if you've got a technology type that fundamentally is based on ingesting that data, if the data is growing at 25 to 35% a year, the cost for ingesting and storing that data is increasing as well. So those costs are spiraling out of control. They're growing. It's that unpredictability as well, because if you're spending £10,000 a month as a standard, but then you get hit with a £30,000 bill in February because your costs are going up, it's that unpredictability. How can you build that? How is that an ongoing business case? How do you justify that on an ongoing basis? So that's something we're addressing.
Yeah, totally. And anything else in terms of that piece as well, we think, in terms of that pull from the market? So we hear around the whole piece around alert fatigue, etc., etc. That's real, right? It's not just.
It's absolutely real. If you've got a world where 62% of alerts are being ignored because there isn't time and there's a hope that they're false positives, that security, resource, cost trade-off just shouldn't be acceptable. It shouldn't be something that companies have to a choice they have to make.
Yeah. I see the pull coming as well from the fact that organisations have over time invested into SIEMs. And that might have been a traditional on-premise SIEM, now moving into these next generation cloud SIEMs. And they're having to put security projects on hold because they can't get into the SIEM, what they then need to get out of it. I use a very basic analogy of it's. Can you remember when you were younger and you used to go to Woolworths and you used to get the pick and mix? And then you get really excited and you take it and you weigh it, and then your mum would say, you're going to have to take that long snake out. Do you really need the giant strawberries? That's where people are at with their SIEM, that they can't afford any longer to pull in everything that they need. So they're making sacrifices about what they do bring in. Now, the bad guys know that. So the bad guys exploit the gaps that they know are going to be there. And that's where the data tax on SIEMs is really affecting people that we talk to. They're saying, if I can't pull everything in, what is the point? It's giving them a new look at the way that they can get things done. So that's where SenseOn comes in. And that's where customers are saying, I can get the same outcomes, but there's got to be a different way of doing it. And we talk about, it's not a people or like a process problem. It's an architectural problem. And we've got the architecture that can help customers to address that SIEM tax problem.
Okay, and I think we were talking over lunch, as I mentioned, and one of the things that you mentioned that really stuck with me is that the customers need a solution that can work now, immediately, rather than that long-term tuning, because of all the things that we've talked about, right? And that's something that you're really seeing and driving the opportunity forward, or shortening the life cycle, the sales cycle, I guess, because it's needed now.
Oh, massively. If 50% of SIEM deployments take 6 months plus, that's half a year before you even start seeing any ROI, any results of any sort. There's the complex rules. Those rules are brittle. It's maintaining them. It's learning the baseline. We've had deployments where within 30 minutes, we're up and running. Within weeks, we're seeing really tangible results because of the way we build the data, because of the way we unify that data, because of the regularity of what that looks like. We've got 1,100 analytics out the box ready to go. So there's no complex rule writing. This is immediate results. And, we'll probably touch on it later, but our POV process, we can really track those results from day one over a 4-week period to start showing ROI, which, is what people need to see in order to make informed decisions about where they spend their budgets.
Brilliant. Well, I guess leading on to the next piece from my side, right, and I'm really interested to learn from you guys. The subject around Microsoft and Microsoft 365. A lot of organizations have invested, a lot of partners have invested, and from our side, from a distributor, Microsoft are everywhere. But I'd like to kind of unpick that a little bit in terms of how can we play and what are you seeing within that Microsoft space? Yeah,
I think the reality of it is Microsoft's not going anywhere anymore as a security solution. There's so many customers that have invested in Microsoft 365, the Defender suites that you get. Like, it really is integral now to most customers' security strategy. And I think you've got two kind of partners, right? You've got partners that are selling Microsoft, and that is what their bread and butter, that is what they do. But then you've also got the bespoke security partners, the boutiques, even the larger VARs that are more focused on security, that haven't necessarily adopted Microsoft as part of their security portfolio. And they're wondering, how can we add value to our customers that are using this? And it's not a case of, you've got to take out Microsoft. Like I said, it's integral. That's not going to happen. But where SenseOn can help is we can augment what we're seeing through Microsoft. So we talk about this new perimeter not being the firewall. It's now the identity, and it's the user. 80% of breaches now include identity, and that's like stolen credentials. 50% of what we see is through Microsoft stolen credentials. So Microsoft are doing a great job, but they're not necessarily seeing everything. They're not the all-seeing eye because of the fact that they don't necessarily integrate with other security solutions, or they don't have visibility across network and endpoint, as an example. So we can help customers to augment their Microsoft alerts, correlate that with SenseOn, and get better visibility across the board, across the endpoint, across the identity, across the network. And that gives our partners a new conversation to have. It's not a rip and replace conversation, and we've all been part of those conversations over the years. They're very difficult to have. You're telling somebody that the baby's ugly effectively. Nobody wants to have that conversation, and you don't need to, because Microsoft does do a good job, but it can do better if it's working with the right solution like SenseOn. So I think from a Microsoft point of view, we're just giving partners more tools to be more valuable to their customers and make the customers' products work more effectively.
And Mark, I think, from a partner perspective, kind of boiling that down from what Amy said, what would be kind of the 2 or 3 key components, if you're going to really kind of boil it down, for the channel partners?
So the advantages?
Yeah.
I think the analogy I like is to telling someone their baby's ugly. We've got the ability to tell them that what they've got is great, but we can augment it, we can streamline it, we can drive cost efficiencies, cost improvements, we can offload some of the budget that is maybe going into purely the ingestion and storage, not actually the doing, and we can make it work better, whether they are the partner that sold Microsoft into a customer or whether they're not. They don't have to be that Microsoft partner as it is. They can come in and they can work and add an additional layer of security.
Really clear, really clear. So we've talked at a couple of podcasts recently, again, in terms of the whole noise. And I guess a lot of vendors come out and say, we do similar things, or we deliver the same outcome in a different way. From a SenseOn perspective, in terms of the real detection and response, the real capabilities that you're delivering, I'd just like to touch on that really, from your guys' side.
Yeah, in terms of the real world results, it's that ability to add greater contextualization. Any security operations platform or team, the most important thing is getting the right data in there. We've spoken about how we do that. We can create really unified data from across the network, whether it's the endpoint, the network, into the cloud environments, the identity. But then we're using AI, the buzzword everyone is using. That's great. And we were at InfoSec and everyone said, oh, you're another AI vendor. AI is a fundamental part of what we do, but the reason we're using it is to kind of offload grunt work to do that kind of the mundane tasks, but deprioritize so that we can deliver really tangible results, and deprioritize a very high percentage of what is currently being thrown at those analysts or IT teams, whoever it may be, and just make them run more efficiently. So everything is around gearing up to allow the human layer of our process to be more efficient.
And Amy, what about you in terms of the kind of the differentiators from what you've seen previously?
Well, just to add on to what Mark said about AI, I think I've seen recently some vendors coming out saying get rid of your security teams. That's absolutely not what we intend to do. But we intend for security operations teams, security engineers, analysts, all to get more from their work. Yeah. like Mark says, the grunt work. It's not about doing the grunt work. AI can do that for you. And our root cause triangulation, which is part of the technology that we've built our technology upon, that does that for you. So you can invest time back in those individuals to basically empower your business to grow. And I think that's the difference with us, is we're really looking to empower that business to move forward. I've talked about digital transformation for years now, but digital transformation comes at a cost, and that cost is resources. And we're giving that back so that businesses can use security to grow new revenue streams, open new markets. And I think that's what really makes us different. So the AI is there to help. It's not there to replace. And that's a key thing for me, is that, and by the way, from an AI point of view, we've invested massively into our AI. It's what we use at our MDR for our managed detection and response capabilities within our SOC. So we truly believe in our AI, and we know that what it's doing is delivering back to customers. It's not like I say, it's not an hindrance. It's helping businesses grow.
If you're a 250 seat organisation, or if you're a 5,000 or 10,000, one of the common factors will be your resources. Resources are most likely to be stretched. There's something else that those analysts, that those IT teams could be doing if it wasn't trying to sift through the false positives, and we're empowering them to do that.
So obviously AI is a key part of the proposition or differentiation, etc. We talked earlier regarding the requirement for tools that work today without long-term tweaking, etc., etc. So from a SenseOn perspective, in terms of that ease of deployment and being up and running quickly, how does that work?
We could be up and running within 30 minutes. It's deploying really lightweight piece of software, really lightweight sensor onto the devices, and it starts pulling that information. It does baseline. It starts learning what is normal and what isn't. And I think that's sort of a 2-week period. We do that over just so it can learn working days, etc. But it's that speed of being able to do that. And again, I keep coming back to it. It's because of the contextualization of the data we're pulling. It's because of the unification of that data we're pulling. It's the predictability of what that looks like, the tables that is stored into, that allows us to get going with that very quickly.
Cracking. So I think what we should do then is that old interview question, what would your mate say about you, kind of thing. From a customer perspective, what would your customers say?
Well, we've got lots of customers, and I think most of them would all say that we have, and I come back to the point, enabled their business to adopt new digital transformation projects. They've said that we've given them time back. Yeah, ED&F Man, as an example, one of our customers, they went from 40 alerts a day to 40 a month. That's a massive time saving. So I think they'd all say that one of our customers said that to them, without SenseOn, what their life is it's security operations to them is having a 1,000-piece jigsaw broken into pieces with no picture in which to follow. And that's what security meant to them before SenseOn. And after SenseOn, it was clarity, visibility, business enabling. And I think all of our customers would say that.
I think we're very lucky in that both to our customers, but internally, we've got a strong sense of communication and kind of showing the results. And on the share channels we have internally, we do see on a weekly basis, almost a daily basis, that feedback from our customers in terms of the difference we're making. That is one of the things that, as a SenseOn employee, makes me feel A, proud, but B, drives me to want to keep doing it, because I'm fully bought in, not just to the people or the technology on face value, but the results that we're driving. So that's great for me.
No, cracking. So let's shift towards the partner. So one of the things I've seen over the 6 months of this partnership is that the response from the partners has been really strong. Mm-hmm. Really strong, especially when they see the platform. But why should partners care? Like, why should partners engage? And let's try and boil it down for them in terms of, what's in it for them?
I've been very pleasantly surprised over my first 6 months at what the reaction has been. Obviously, the company has been going significantly longer time than I've been here, but I've worked with startups in the past where it has been difficult to drive that interest, drive those first conversations. I think the proposition is very easy to see quite quickly once we get away from XDR, SIEM, those sorts of terms. Once people see the platform, especially, but once they're shown the platform by SenseOn, by Brad Freeman, by Dave, they seem to be bought in because it's very easy to see where we fit. It's very easy to see the speed at which we can drive results. It's very easy to see the speed at which we can start turning opportunities into deals. And it's been, it's been really heartening, actually.
And I think, is there a penny drop moment, I guess? Within any partner engagement, there's the initial education and, trying to get partners to a point whereby we've talked about all the pieces we have, the user cases, the team, etc. When is there a moment that partners say, right, I get it?
It's seeing the platform, and it's seeing the way the platform is laid out. It's seeing the depth at which it can go to. But even, those initial things we start showing, the number of raw events that we're capturing in a month, how we're building that into cases using the AI, but then the results of what we're delivering back to be investigated. You start seeing the stats around percentage of cases deprioritized, our mean time to remediation, 25 minutes from discovery to closing and case write-ups. It's all those individual elements. It's the integration tab. It's the raw data tab. It's all of that, which is, when you put all that together, that's who we are and that's what we do and that's the results we drive. That is the moment, I think, at which partners, it's probably the same for end users, but it's the moment at which partners go, okay, this is, I get this now.
Yeah, it's definitely the moment of realization I always find, and I appreciate we've not got our demo here to show you right now, and not that even the demo, the solution itself, but it's the triangulation of individual point products within an environment, but done as a single solution. So it's all based on the data fabric that we have, which is effectively pulling 4 threads, your endpoint, your network, your identity, your cloud, into one. A lot of the hard work is done by an end user in trying to weave those together. We do that natively. And the way that we present that back to the partner and the customer makes absolute sense. You can see in that one moment the amount of time that you're saving, the speed to respond. Like as Mark said, we react to it. Well, mean time to detect, mean time to respond, and mean time to investigate, and then the mean time to respond is less than 25 minutes. When partners see that, they know that they can go and add value to the customers, and that is definitely a turning point for partners. But I think also it's the way that we position ourselves. Is we try and simplify it down. We talk about giving clarity in the world of chaos, and we boil it down for partners. Is that if your customer or your prospect has got 3 problems, which is that they want to get control of their environment, or they want to fix the economics, whether that's fixing the economics because they're buying multiple point products and it's overwhelming from a financial point of view, or as we said earlier, the ingestion tax that we see, or they want to pass an audit. Most of our partners have got end users with those problems, and when we explain how we can help them fix all of those and have a way with the old ways of doing it that are just inefficient, and as we said, the architecture doesn't support it, that's when partners go, got you, I can have a conversation now. And I can have multiple conversations with the same end user about different pain points that they've got and address them all with a single solution. That's where I see that partners really buy in. And Mark talked earlier about integrations. Tab and I talked earlier about rip and replace. But we can be everything. We can meet an end user wherever they're at in their journey. So if their security maturity is low and they're just wanting to find a place where they've got a security project that they can work over across 3-5 years, we can be there. If they've already made massive investments, they've already got SOC teams, they've got analysts, they've paid for a big SIEM, we can still work with that. So partners don't get stuck down this cul-de-sac. They've got answers to effectively everything.
That's a really key thing. The 3 of us have worked with technologies and tried to sell technologies and build a market for technologies where either they do exactly what X does, but it's the new version of it. So then that's that rip and replace. It's like, but if I'm happy with vendor X and I've got a relationship with them, that's a tough sell. Likewise, we've worked with those techs where they look really cool and this is doing something really different. It's like, it's so different, I don't know if I need it yet. And it's maybe 3-4 years ahead, ahead of the curve. With what we're doing, we're addressing problems people have got now. Amy's just laid them out. Very clear, very identifiable issues. We're doing it in a way that drives greater efficiency, cost saving, consolidation, takes the end user on a path to kind of increase that usage over the years, and it's in budget. These problems are in budget, and that for partners is the exciting bit. We're not having to go out and build a brand new market. We're taking together, we're building a new message of how to address those issues.
No, I love that. I really love the business outcome piece. I love that the market is coming towards us and we are really solving challenges. At the same time, if we flip it back in terms of maybe a partner has a customer with a specific solution, a specific displacement. I spent some time with you on the InfoSec stand last month, and there were customers coming to say, as an example, I'm here to look at an NDR. I think it's probably worth on touching that as well, right? That the kind of entry into a SenseOn opportunity, for me at least, can come from anywhere.
It can, and to your point specifically about NDR, we actually get a lot of customers come to us and their first thought from their project point of view is that they need NDR. There's not many customers now that haven't got an EDR. And as I said earlier, a lot of them are running a Microsoft Defender solution. So that's not going anywhere. But as an example, we had a customer who we recently won that came to us saying, I need an NDR. They were looking at the more traditional vendors from an NDR point of view, so those that are putting out probes and tapping the environment. And they liked the solution, albeit the solution was noisy because it was a network solution, and therefore, networks are noisy. There's a lot of traffic that goes across networks. But the moment of realization for them that we were a better option was when they realized that even though they've got another endpoint solution, we can work with them. We can, by deploying us and using effectively every single endpoint in the environment as a network detection tool, they were able to get visibility that they couldn't see before, but they were also able to get this single pane of glass. And a lot of our customers come to us using that exact language, that they want to become more proactive in their security and they want a single pane of glass, because we talk about this sort of swivel chair approach where if you've got multiple point products, you go from one to another. There's a lot of keeping things in memory and trying to build a story around those point products. So we get a lot of customers come to us say, I need NDR. And then it turns into a real value case of this, like I say, single pane of glass, single solution for all the security operations. Same as EDR customers, we get those come to us. I want to displace a traditional EDR solution. Yeah. And then they recognize, again, the value of having seeing everything under one roof. So I guess to the point, if I've got partners out there that are looking at NDR, got customers looking at NDR, EDR, don't misplace our messaging around seamless outcomes as only being a SIEM replacement, because we're not. As I said, we'll meet a customer anywhere on their journey and they'll see value in the technology and the outcomes that it delivers.
Yeah, that was going to be my question, actually, but you just answered it. If I'm a partner out there, we should just shout up, right? We think there is this requirement, or my customer has this challenge. How can you help, right? So that leads me on, I guess, to the final piece from a partner perspective in terms of what can they expect? And I've worked with both of you closely, as I know, and I think there are vendors out there that have done the channel well, but I always say it takes years and years to build a really succinct, sustainable channel, but minutes to mess it up.
Yeah.
So I know, Mark, you're really, really on this and want to deliver something special, right?
Yeah, and I think that's that point you made there is something I always have thought for years. It takes one phone call to erode 5 years of trust.
Yeah, totally.
5 years of good working practice. It can be done very quickly. I think when you engage with SenseOn, you will be very pleasantly surprised by how we go about, what the engagement is like, the preparation from our AEs, the availability of our, founding team, the availability of resource within SenseOn to help you identify, scope and grow and close opportunities is unlike anything. And I've worked with, it's probably in the hundreds of vendors over the last 16, 17 years. And this is unlike anything I've ever worked with as an organisation.
I know the channel's really close to your heart as well, Amy. Anything you'd add there?
Yeah, I guess if I roll back, I went into sales 3 years ago now as regional sales director at another company, because the channel are intrinsically linked to the success of any business, in my opinion. But I think that there's so many vendors that say we need a channel, we want a channel, but they genuinely don't want the same things as a channel. That when there's an opportunity to take a deal direct, they'll take it because it's better for the revenue numbers. That's not what a channel wants. A channel wants to know that it can trust a vendor that's got their back all the time. So I moved into sales because of those frustrations, whereas I was of the opinion that I can run sales knowing that channel are part of my team and they get treated the same way as the team to help grow a business, and we'll treat them with trust and respect for the work that they do. So yeah, I mean, for me, our channel is very close to my heart. It helps my team, it helps me achieve our numbers, quite honestly. And for that, we're willing to give them what they need to be successful. And I think the other thing with SenseOn is, so Mark and I have been here, let's call it the beginning of the year, really. We didn't have a channel. We created a channel, and we said everything that we do will be through channel, and we've stuck to that word. So we've had 6 months now of working with channel. Our renewals have been going back through them. We've not quoted a deal direct. Our AEs are being taught that the channel are their colleagues effectively, and that they work with them as such. And I think because of that, our partners to date have had a really enjoyable experience of working with us.
For me, the channel and distribution are part of my DNA. 16, 17 years, that's it. That's always going to be in there. Because I understand and will always remember the power that the channel gives us, the scope the channel gives us. We're at the start of our journey with the channel. There you go, I've used the word journey, which I can't believe I have. But we're at the first, on the first part of that path, and we want partners to build with us and to help us build that out. And we're starting to do that. It's, like I say, it's been very pleasing what we've had so far, the relationships we're starting to build, the opportunities we're starting to uncover together. And that is the watchword for me. It's together. It's about doing all things as one.
Yeah.
It's clear for me that, where the market is heading, and we talked about kind of that confusion, that noise, the consolidation, the financial savings, etc. Where do you see the market going over the next few years? And do you guys feel that SenseOn are where they need to be to really kind of continue to evolve, to keep up? What are your thoughts?
For me, I think we're exactly where we need to be. Yeah. We've got our own technology that pulls in fantastic telemetry. We've got integrations with top vendors in the spaces where we're talking like endpoint network identity, so that we've got a wider scope of a customer's environment. We're ingesting more and more log types to add more and more value back to the customer. And I think that's just going to continue. And we're going to add more detections, which is going to keep giving our customers back their time. It's going to stop the headaches of having false alerts. They're going to be able to establish if something's off within their environment quite quickly, with the mean time to react. So I think we're going in the right direction. And I think that the market is actually going to pull more in years to come. Because if you look back at, as we talked earlier, I remember selling SIEM at, I don't even know how long ago, 12 years ago. Yeah. And the orders were just falling through the door because it was compliance driven. And compliance driven purchasers still haven't delivered on the SIEM promises.
Mm.
And so customers are starting to get frustrated by that. And so they're now saying there's a better way of doing this. So whilst ever customers are saying there's got to be a better way of doing this, there's got to be a more efficient way of having security operations, there's got to be a better way of actually seeing what's going on in my environment. Because the thing that you forget is that SIEM ingestion takes up a large amount, a disproportionate amount of budget. That's just to get the data. It's not to actually provide security. It's like paying to get in your own front door,
Yeah, really
paying in a
compelling.
restaurant to see the menu. So for me, I like that analogy.
Yeah, I like that.
So for me, customers are going to keep acknowledging that, keep saying there's a better way to do it. And while ever they're saying that, they're going to keep pulling at SenseOn because we're giving them the outcomes without the data tax, with full control, full visibility, which allows them to keep building their business.
Yeah. Look.
And then,
Go on.
final thought from me is a lot of companies, one of the things they claim or they like to claim is they're agile. And so when you ask, why are we well placed? The reason we're well placed is because we have agility, but agility is nothing if you don't listen to the market, to your customers, to your partners. You have to understand what that feedback is. You have to understand what the issues are, and then you need to react. And they're the three things I believe that set us up to be able to do that. They've got us where we are now, but that's what will push us forward. We listen, we understand, and then we react.
I think that's a really nice, natural sum up. So I think we should start to end it there. I think, look, from my perspective, I've referenced numerous times, and I know you guys a long time. You're enjoying it. I can see it. Yeah. And I think that, outside of any market opportunity, knowing that you guys are enjoying it, knowing the people that you work with, really interesting background as well, which we could spend another session on, right? But no, it's good to see you guys doing so well and enjoying what you do. From my side, I guess, we always ask our guests in the studio, who would you like to see on the Kite Channel Lounge? So, yeah, if there was a guest that could be in your seat, who would it be?
I'd like to see Dave because I watch every podcast he does already, but it doesn't get less interesting. I think Brad would be a really good guest to talk about his background, but I'd probably like Neil Ledger.
Yeah, okay,
and I'd like to hear the stories about what the industry used to be like before it was cybersecurity, when it was IT, because I've heard some of them, but I'd like to hear more. I don't know if he'd tell you them.
I don't think that Ledger's a podcast kind of man, but I completely agree with you. I'd love to interview Neil, and certainly from your guys' perspective with Dave and Brad, I'd love to sit in this chair and just listen to Dave. I listen to the podcast too, and yeah, it'd be a fantastic guest, I agree. And Amy, from your side?
Do they have to be channel?
No, not at all.
Anybody?
Yeah, why not?
Ben Youngs.
Ben Youngs, yeah. Ben Youngs.
He's next door.
Slady? Amy Slade? They are within the industry. They're just not necessarily channel. But I would love to, and you can get this, right? But we're talking about the channel now specifically. I would love to interview the CEO of Wiz. Like, that business growing so quickly, being acquired. Like, I'd just love to know what really drove that business forward, and then emulate it so I can retire effectively. But yeah, I think the CEO of Wiz has got a story to tell.
Do you know the interesting thing? I asked the same question on a podcast recording earlier this week, and I got exactly the same answer.
Did you?
In terms of the CEO of Wiz,
It's
yeah.
like 34 billion quid, I think.
Oh, totally. Well,
that's it's amazing how interesting you become when you've got £34 billion. Yeah.
So the final question really is, and what question would you ask them? So if there's any guest in the studio, anything you'd like me to ask the guests?
Well, if it was the guy from Wiz, probably can you lend me $1 billion?
Yeah,
a good one.
Yeah. Well, I think I said it when I was sort of talking about who I'd want to talk to. But yeah, how do you make a business that successful that quickly? Like, what is it? What culture is it? What do you need as part of your DNA to get that product to go like it did?
Yeah, it's sort of the ultimate question to ask anyone in that position is, what drives you? What's the drive?
Yeah. No.
What got you to start, and what keeps you going?
Right, then we'll begin working on it.
Right, there you go.
So look, I've really enjoyed this. It's been great to have you guys in. And for our listeners, I've been Stuart Nairne-Clark, the host of the Kite Channel Lounge. Please continue to follow our podcast on the usual channels and keep listening. Thank you very much.